Hello Summoners, Matthew from the Nintendo Treehouse here with some quick tips for the Fire Emblem Heroes game. Throughout the Fire Emblem series, there are times when heroes give in to their darker emotions. Often they are driven to this by some outside force. However, they cannot deny that these negative feelings were always there within them. One such hero is Julia. She lived through an event so traumatizing that she lost all of her memories. After being found by Lyon and spending time with Sexuelle, her emotional scars began to heal. However, the leader of the Lupter church that caused her family's tragedy, Manfroy, captures her, restores her tortured memories, and brainwashes her under his control. As a descendant of 3 crusaders, Julia makes a fearsome opponent for Sexuelle and his army. It must be terrible to be forced to fight against your friends while reliving the memory of your darkest moment. In Fire Emblem Heroes, Julia is a magic powerhouse that can take advantages away from her foes. Her weapon, Dark Scripture, lowers both the attack and resistance of her opponent. Use Julia to go in for an attack near the beginning of your turn to weaken foes for your allies with the effect of Panic Smoke. If you need to draw out enemies with high magic attack, send Julia out alone to counter them on the enemy phase when the effects of attack resistance solo are active. If her opponent does not have a skill or status of effective against dragons, Julia is guaranteed to make a follow-up attack despite her low speed. Julia has several skills that weaken her foe's attack, so combined with her high resistance, she should be able to take on even the most powerful of magic users, even when at a disadvantage. Attacking one foe could weaken the others using bonuses and set the team up for success on the player phase. However, her defense is extremely low, so try to have her allies keep her away from physical attacks. Luckily, to help her in this regard, Light and Dark helps protect her from magic attacks that can target her defense. For her seal, I would recommend Mirror Stance or Brazen Attack Resistance if you want to further increase her attack and resistance during the enemy phase, or Death Blow if you want to use her on the player phase. With her extremely high resistance, any of the ploy type skills can also help her further weaken foes. Next up is Lyon as the Demon King. Lyon had every intention of becoming a good ruler for the country of Grado, and had great friends to support him with this goal. However, the pressure he felt along with his jealousy towards Ephraim and secret feelings towards Erica opened him up to become the host for something sinister. Regardless of who has control of his flesh, the Demon King Fomortis has control of his heart. Like Julia, Lyon is a very strong magic user. Lyon can defend himself well against any type of distant attack, and can crush colorless foes that attack from a distance. He carries the Blood Tome, which reduces damage from foes using weapons at a distance, and even gains a weapon triangle advantage if the foe is also colorless. Try to keep him away from allies, as his C skill Rouse Attack Resistance grants him bonuses to both those stats, and that boost will double with his A skill Bonus Doubler during combat. Lyon can neutralize effects that prevent his counterattacks, and he's also a great counter to colorless threats like Veronica, Bramamont, and Claude. He relies on bonuses to himself more than penalties to his foes, so I might recommend allies that can buff his defense and speed to take full advantage of Bonus Doubler. However, since he relies so heavily on boosts, be wary of any foe with skills that can take them away from him. For his seal, Quick Riposte can give him the opportunity to do follow-up attacks when his HP is at least 70%, and help trigger Soul to keep him alive, while Distant Defense can aid his strengths and help lower the damage he takes overall. Up next is Ike, as you've never seen him before. Tragedy struck Ike's family when his father Grail took hold of Laurent's medallion and went berserk. This resulted in a mindless slaughter, and ended with Ike's mother impaled on Grail's sword. Unfortunately, Ike has fallen to the echoes of history and took hold of the same medallion that caused his family so much pain in the past. This medallion has magnified all the worst parts of himself and caused him to go berserk. This berserk version of Ike can use penalties against him to his advantage and is faster than his other versions. His Chaos Ragnall not only allows him to counter at any distance, but also changes any penalties on his stats into bonuses. This could make him an interesting pick for modes like Aether Raids, where penalties are common. Similar to other versions of Ike, he has Mayhem Aether for his special, which can reduce the foe's defense and resistance for more damage, and heal himself to continue fighting on. The rest of his kit complements his newfound speed. There must be some Ike left somewhere in there, because if he starts a turn next to an ally, his Oath skill gives him a good boost to attack and speed stats. Darting Breath adds even more to his speed when he is attacked, and hastens the special count to trigger Mayhem Aether more often. This enables Ike to survive assaults from slower magic users with high attack. Finally, Repel uses his speed to push away foes from him after combat if he initiates it. Have Ike start next to an ally before sending him out to attack a group of enemies. With his high speed and special, Ike should be able to survive a variety of enemy attacks while healing himself with his special. For his seal, I would suggest Attack Smoke to help ensure his survival from multiple enemy attacks. Lastly, we have Fallen Corrin, who has given in to the beast within. Although Corrin was raised in Nor, he was originally from Hoshido. Just after he reunited with his Hoshidan family, his mother Mikoto was killed in front of him, and he could no longer control the draconic blood that flows through him. Corrin doesn't want to hurt his allies, and is most powerful fighting alone. His weapon, Brutal Breath, along with his A skill, give him huge boosts to his stats in battle when he is away from allies. His C skill, Rouse Speed Defense, gives him a boost to those stats at the beginning of the turn if no allies are next to him. He can also neutralize skills that guarantee a foe's follow-up attack, and others that would prevent his own. With all of his bonuses and speed, he can be one of the fastest units in the game. He can easily take on hordes of foes using close-range attacks, but should try to avoid getting hit with long-range magic attacks, since his lowest stat is resistance and he has no way to counter. For seals, I would recommend Flashing Blade to get his special to trigger more, or Distant Defense to help cover his weaknesses. These fallen heroes bring a lot of power to any team they are on, but at what cost? As you would expect, they don't necessarily work well with others, and most of them are better off fighting completely alone most of the time. However, on a team together, they can cover each other's weaknesses fairly well. Your job is to keep them focused on the real foes. That's all for today, Summoners. Good luck.